Suffering is framed as a moral asset. Let's dive a little deeper into First Peter, where suffering is reframed as proof of faithfulness. First Peter takes the hypervigilance of Hebrews and gives it a devastatingly positive spin. If Hebrews uses the threat of pain to keep you in line, First Peter uses the presence of pain to convince you that you're exactly where you need to be. Suffering is framed as a moral asset. First Peter transforms suffering from a problem to be solved into a commodity to be cherished. It's no longer an unfortunate reality of a broken world, it is the primary evidence of divine favor. In First Peter chapter 2 verses 18 through 21, the author explicitly tells slaves to submit to their masters, not just the kind ones, but even the harsh ones, arguing that it is commendable if someone bears up under the pain of unjust suffering because they are conscious of God. By moralizing endurance rather than justice, the text divorces morality from any actual improvement of the human condition. It suggests that the holiest response to evil isn't to stop it, but to absorb it. When pain is reframed as virtue, the victim's natural survival instincts, anger, or desire for safety, the setting of boundaries, are reframed as spiritual rebellion. If you're being mistreated, First Peter chapter 4 verse 13 tells you to rejoice in as much as you participate in the sufferings of Christ. This creates a psychological bypass. Instead of processing the trauma, the victim filters it through a religious lens that makes the pain feel like a blessing. If bearing up under harsh treatment is the goal, then a boundary, saying no or this is wrong, is seen as a lack of faith. You lose the ability to protect yourself because your holiness is now tied to your openness to being hurt. This is the ultimate employer's manual for an oppressive system. If the subjects believe that their suffering is their purpose, the rulers never have to change. In First Peter, the community doesn't look for ways to escape oppression, they look for ways to be oppressed better. By teaching that judgment begins at the house of God and that the righteous are scarcely saved, that's First Peter chapter 4 verse 17 through 18, the text shifts the focus away from the behavior of the abuser and onto the spiritual purity of the victim. The system remains intact because the victims are too busy rejoicing in their scars to question the hand that gave them the scars. If you're hurting, you must be holy. In the world of First Peter, a lack of suffering is actually a cause for concern. It might mean you aren't in Christ enough to bother the world. This creates a perverse incentive to stay in toxic, high control environments. It turns the church into a place where the person with the most trauma is given the most spiritual authority, provided they never complain about how they got it.